What is up? Hopefully you guys are having a great day. My name is Chris. Hope to help serve you today because one question that somebody put in the group here in my group on Facebook is, hey, their goal is just to be happy. Like in 2023, we just be happy. Like that would be awesome. And so what I want to share with you is something new, relatively new within the past 5-ish months or so. There's a new study that talks about these things. But before we get into that, I want to ask you a question. And if you're watching this on replay, still play with me, okay? I want to ask you a question. How do we measure temperature? How is temperature like in this room? How is it measured? You might be like, a thermometer. Yeah, but how does a thermometer know? Do you know? Interesting. It's kind of always something we don't think about. Like, how is it that we can, how can we tell the temperature? Well, thermometer says, well, how does that know? So how a thermometer tells temperature is the amount of particles that hit, it's called the average kinetic energy. Let me pull up the actual verbiage here. Okay. On this page, let me pull this up here. Temperature is measured by the average kinetic energy of the particles in an object. So you put mercury, which is Hg, right? They put that inside a thermometer. Stuff hits it on the outside, heats it up, makes that thermometer rise. That's how we can tell the temperature, right? Other ways, other fancier machines can do that, like through science and all these things. But that's how we know temperature is the more particles hit it, the hotter that it is, right? Think of it like boiling and ice, right? Boiling, things are going crazy. Ice, pretty much staying still. Interesting. How do we know a temperature is, or not temperature, a color is blue? Like, how do you know that this shirt is red, right? Well, it's like a dark red. In the light here, it's like it looks brighter than what it is, but it's a darker red. How do we know that to be true? Well, very simply put, is this bad boy here has a wavelength of down here that thus makes the material give off through the visible spectrum the color of red. Or you could think of it is it absorbs all the other colors and then it reflects red color, right? Same with like things that are black. Black absorbs all color, which is why it's black, right? If you put a bunch of colors in a shirt, you put a bunch of paint on a page, what colors does it turn into besides brown, right? But if you did enough of it, it would be black. All the colors, it would make black. And what happens when it's white? Well, it's reflected color, right? It reflects all color, right? And if this is new to you, look at that. History lesson. Now you got something new to learn today. How cool is that? Wavelengths. How do we know what a microwave's at? Well, it's at freaking different wavelengths, right? And the same wavelengths that's in the TVs and a light bulb is in X-ray machines and radiation. It just depends to the degree which the wavelength is, right? Now let me ask you another question. What is depression? What is depression? Now, by the way, before we get into this, your boy's not a therapist. I'm not a psychologist. I just look at studies, read them, and just express the information, okay? So if you're working with a trained professional, they're probably smarter than me, okay? But something to consider. What is the number one cause of depression? Research suggests that continuing difficulties, long-term unemployment, living in an abusive, uncaring relationship, long-term isolation or loneliness, ding, 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 wonder why everyone's freaking depressed in the last 3 years, friggin' A, let's stuff you in a room, slap a muzzle on your face, and what do you know? You freaking are depressed as shit. Prolonged work stress. Here's what we can boil all that down to is hopelessness and helplessness. Hopeless and helpless are the number one problem for depression. So when we think of these things, let's kind of bring it back to the hot. What is cold? What is cold? Cold is the absence of hot. What is red? Red is the wavelength of red. Can you change red to a different color? Yes, you can. You just change the wavelength. Just change the wavelength and it changes color. If you want it to be warmer, you increase the particles that are smacking the thing by pressure, by going somewhere closer to the sun, by putting it in an oven, microwaving it, whatever. More particles smacking it makes it hotter, right? So in that same vein then, if you feel helpless, what can you do? What is help? What is depression? Depression is the absence of happy. Depression isn't its thing. It's not a thing. It's the absence of something else. Same with cold. Cold is not a thing. Cold is the absence of heat. Here's what's really cool. Because these things are true, because hot and cold are one and the same. Color is one and the same. What if happy and depressed were one and the same, just on the ends of a timeline, or the ends of a dotted line maybe? And maybe if you were to go from cold to hot, it is increasing energy. And if you were to go from one end of the spectrum of color to the other one, it is increased wavelengths. I wonder if you went from hopeless to hopeful, if that would change some things. Because if we look at depression as its own thing, it's its own thing. What do you have? Where can you move from there? Nowhere. You have no control. You're stuck. Don't do anything. And unfortunately, research is showing now that SSRIs against the dummy pill really don't have much of a difference. SNAP, again, not a doctor. Do whatever you're going to do, right? Okay, I'm not giving you advice here. Okay, I'm just pointing out for educational purposes only. So if you can go from depressed, if you are in depressed mode, it's just the lack of happiness. What can you do right now that makes you happy? And if you're like, I don't know, pick something, find something. Just the simple fact of you moving towards something generates happiness. At least you're making progress. By sitting here and going, I have depression, I'm sad, I'm just going to do nothing. Like my daughter last night, she was just sitting there, just crying. Just sitting there crying. I don't know what to eat. I just say, do you want this? Do you want this? No, I don't know. I said, and then she sat on the ground and was like this. We're working on communication skills. So she sat on the ground like this, just sat there. I was like, honey, pouting and sitting ain't going to help you. Does nothing. Literally does nothing. You can sit there and cry about it, but it's not actually solving your problem. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be frustrated, but do something. Look, open your eyes. Try some stuff. Like, God forbid you try 3 things and you don't like one of them, okay? At least it's solving your problem. But by sitting here and going, doesn't do much, okay? And I'm sympathetic. I know what it's like to be depressed. I don't have depression. It's not what I have. I have a lack of happiness. What can I do to make me happy? Play video games. Spend time with my kids. Do something for somebody else. Read a book. Exercise. Exercise is number 1 cure for depression. And how many people are depressed? Exercise? Not many. That are in depression. Not have it, but are in it. They don't exercise. Increase your energy, man. That's all it is. It's a lack of energy. Think of the word depression. Depress. Depression. Happiness. Joy. Excitement. You can't even say excitement without being excited. You can't even go up. You have to go up. Depression, you can't go depression, right? It doesn't sound good. It doesn't work. But excitement does. Joy does. You don't go joy. Joy. Depression. Anger. Sadness. You don't go sadness. See what I'm saying? Add some juice to your world. So down below, what I want you to do, if you're following along and you want to be involved here and not just be a bystander and just just gather information, hoard all the information, and do nothing with it. Good luck. Your friggin' life's going to be terrible and hard. But down below, write down what's one thing that you can do when you start to feel depressed that you know that will make you happy. What makes you happy? Write that down below. Have a great day. Kick some butt. Talk to you soon.